I would watch Prince and Karen present their research at conferences, marveling at how they complemented each other perfectly. 8 years of marriage had made them the ultimate power couple in biochemistry. Prince always spoke of her with such admiration and love, but I never expected success to change someone so dramatically. When Karen received that promotion over Prince, something shifted. The person he loved disappeared, replaced by someone I barely recognized. Before I share this heartbreaking story, where are you watching from today? Hit that like and subscribe button if you have ever witnessed how success can transform someone you thought you knew. Trust me, what happened to my friend Prince will make you rethink relationships and ambition in ways you never imagined. I have known Prince for 12 years now. We met during our doctoral studies at Stanford, both struggling through the demanding biochemistry program. Late nights in the lab, shared pizzas during marathon study sessions, and mutual encouragement through research failures forged a friendship that has withstood the test of time. Prince was always the more methodical one, meticulous in his approach to both science and life. I became his confidant, the person he turned to when he needed perspective, especially about his relationship with Karen. Their love story began at the Northeastern Biochemistry Conference in Boston. Prince had just presented his research on enzyme catalysis when Karen approached him with challenging questions that left him both flustered and fascinated. I remember him calling me that night, excitement in his voice as he described this brilliant woman who had pushed his thinking further than any peer review ever had. Their shared passion for biochemistry created an immediate bond, but it was their complementary approaches that made them such a perfect match. Prince was systematic, building his research brick by methodical brick. Karen was intuitive, making creative leaps that sometimes bypassed conventional thinking. Together they could tackle problems from multiple angles, often reaching breakthroughs neither could have achieved alone. After a whirlwind romance conducted largely through video calls and weekend visits, they married 2 years later in a small ceremony attended by family and close colleagues. Their wedding vows included promises not only to love and cherish each other, but also to support each other's scientific pursuits without jealousy or competition. We all thought it was charming then. Looking back, I wonder if they already sensed the potential for professional rivalry. The early years of their marriage were a testament to those vows. When they both secured positions at Meridian Research Institute, they were thrilled to finally work in the same facility. They established separate but complementary research focuses, often consulting each other on challenging problems. Colleagues nicknamed them the Dream Team, and many young researchers sought positions in their labs specifically to witness their collaborative approach. Prince would often joke that their best research discussions happened over breakfast, with ideas flowing as freely as the coffee. I watched them navigate the inherently competitive environment of research science with grace. When Prince received recognition for a paper, Karen would organize a celebration. When Karen secured additional funding, Prince would bring champagne to the lab. They seemed to have mastered the delicate balance of being both competitors and collaborators, never allowing professional achievements to create personal distance. Everything changed when the Maxwell Grant was announced. This prestigious award, given once every 5 years, provides not only substantial funding but also automatic consideration for department leadership positions and international recognition. The competition is notoriously intense, with hundreds of applicants nationwide. When both Prince and Karen decided to apply, I felt the first twinge of concern. Over dinner one night, Prince assured me they had discussed it thoroughly. We agreed that whoever has the stronger application should win, he explained, and the other will genuinely celebrate that success. He truly believed they could maintain their supportive dynamic even with such high stakes. The months leading up to the announcement were tense throughout the institute, but especially in Prince and Karen's relationship. They both poured themselves into their applications, often working late into the night. Prince later admitted he noticed Karen becoming increasingly secretive about her research during this period, something unusual in their typically open relationship. Still, he attributed it to the pressure of the competition and focused on perfecting his own application. The day of the announcement arrived with palpable tension throughout the institute. The director called an all-staff meeting, and I found myself sitting beside Prince, who maintained his characteristic calm exterior. When Karen's name was called as the recipient, beating out Prince and 30 other applicants, I saw nothing but genuine pride in his eyes. He was the first to stand and applaud, his smile wide and unforced. Karen, however, barely glanced his way as she accepted the honor, thanking her team and mentors, but noticeably omitting Prince from her acknowledgments. That night, despite his own disappointment, Prince arranged a celebration dinner at Karen's favorite restaurant. He invited close friends and colleagues to ensure she felt properly recognized. I watched him toast her success with sincere admiration, but I also noticed something in Karen's demeanor that troubled me. There was a new coldness in her eyes when she looked at Prince, a subtle distancing that seemed out of place on what should have been one of their happiest nights as a couple. When I mentioned it to Prince later, he dismissed my concerns, attributing her behavior to being overwhelmed by the recognition. "She deserves this moment in the spotlight," he said loyally. "I am genuinely happy for her." But I had seen something shift that night, a subtle recalibration of their relationship that worried me. In hindsight, that dinner was not just a celebration of Karen's achievement, but the beginning of the end of everything they had built together. The transformation in Karen after winning the Maxwell grant was subtle at first, then increasingly obvious. She began staying later at the lab, often not returning home until Prince was already asleep. When he would text to check if she wanted dinner saved, her replies became shorter, sometimes just a curt, "working late" or "eat without me." Prince confided in me that they were having fewer of their traditional morning science discussions. Karen seemed to guard her research more closely, deflecting his questions about her progress. "I feel like I am suddenly married to a stranger," Prince told me over lunch one day, exhaustion evident in his voice. Last night she came home at 11, and when I asked about her day, she said I would not understand the complexities of her new research direction. Along with her professional distance came personal changes. Karen revamped her wardrobe, replacing her practical lab attire with designer clothing. She began attending social events without Prince, claiming they were networking opportunities crucial for her new position. Her circle of friends shifted from their mutual colleagues to a new group of higher-profile researchers and administrators. Prince tried to adapt, supporting her new interests and connections, but he increasingly felt like an afterthought in her life. The situation deteriorated further with the arrival of Dr. James Harrison as the new lab director. Recruited from Harvard with an impressive research record and administrative experience, James made an immediate impact on the institute. Tall, confident, and recently divorced, he carried himself with the easy assurance of someone accustomed to success. From his first week, his interest in Karen was apparent. He sought her input in meetings, praised her research in departmental emails, and frequently invited her to join him at administrative functions. Prince noticed, but initially had no reason for suspicion. "He recognizes her talent," he told me, though I could hear the uncertainty in his voice. "That is good for her career." What troubled me was how James subtly undermined Prince in professional settings. During presentations, he would question Prince's methodology while accepting similar approaches from other researchers without comment. He reassigned some of Prince's lab resources to other projects, citing budget constraints, while simultaneously expanding Karen's research funding. When Prince raised concerns with Karen about this treatment, she dismissed them, suggesting he was allowing jealousy of her success to color his perception. The collaboration between Karen and James intensified over the following months. They began co-authoring papers, their names appearing together on multiple publications. Karen was appointed to several prestigious committees on James's recommendation. They attended conferences together, sometimes extending their trips by days for additional networking. Prince tried to remain supportive, but his suspicions grew as Karen became increasingly evasive about her schedule and activities. One night, Prince called me sounding more distressed than I had ever heard him. He had found text messages on Karen's phone while she was showering. The exchanges with James went far beyond professional communication, with references to hotel rooms and private dinners. There were terms of endearment that left little doubt about the nature of their relationship. "She has been lying about those weekend conferences," Prince said, his voice hollow. "Last month, when she said she was presenting in Chicago, the conference was only 2 days, but she was gone for 4. When Prince confronted Karen about the messages, she turned the situation around, accusing him of invading her privacy and being controlling. She claimed his insecurity about her success was the real problem. She actually said I was jealous that she had surpassed me professionally and that my fragile ego could not handle her achievement. Prince told me, the hurt evident in his voice. Concerned about my friend's well-being, I began paying closer attention to Karen and James's interactions at the Institute. I did not want to believe she would betray Prince, but the evidence was mounting. Then came the day I accidentally witnessed what could not be denied. Working late, I needed to drop off some paperwork at the administrative building. Assuming everyone had left for the evening, I was heading toward James's office when I heard voices. The door was slightly ajar, and before I could announce my presence, I saw Karen in an intimate embrace with James, their conversation, making it clear this was no momentary indiscretion but an ongoing affair. I stood frozen, unsure whether to confront them or retreat. My loyalty to Prince won out, and I silently backed away, the signed form still clutched in my hand. For days afterward, I wrestled with whether to tell Prince what I had seen. Would, knowing for certain, hurt him more than suspicion. Before I could decide, Prince found evidence that removed all doubt. Going through their credit card statements for tax purposes, he discovered hotel charges in the city on days Karen had claimed to be working late. There were expensive gift purchases from stores Prince had never seen in their home. Most damning, he found email confirmations for weekend getaways with James carefully hidden in a password-protected folder on their shared computer. The confrontation that followed was devastating. Prince laid out the evidence, calmly asking for honesty rather than accusations. Karen's response shocked even me when he recounted it later. "I have outgrown you," she told him without a trace of remorse. "James understands my potential in ways you never could. You were holding me back, and I deserve someone on my new level." That night, Karen packed several suitcases and left, announcing her intention to file for divorce. Prince sat alone in their home, surrounded by the remnants of 8 years of marriage, trying to comprehend how the woman who had once been his perfect partner could transform into someone who could hurt him so callously. "The worst part," Prince told me, his voice breaking, "is that I still love the person she used to be. I just cannot understand who she has become." The professional fallout from Karen's affair and their separation spread through the Institute like wildfire. Despite efforts to maintain confidentiality, the dramatic nature of their split made discretion impossible. Colleagues divided into factions, some sympathizing with Prince, others suggesting that relationship troubles are always complicated with two sides to every story. Several researchers who had previously been friendly became awkward and distant around Prince, clearly having aligned themselves with the ascending power couple of Karen and James. Prince handled the situation with remarkable dignity, never speaking ill of Karen to colleagues and maintaining professional courtesy in the rare instances they encountered each other at the Institute. But I could see the toll it was taking on him. Dark circles formed under his eyes, he lost weight, and his normally meticulous lab notes became scattered and disorganized. Most concerning was his loss of enthusiasm for research that had once energized him. "I keep questioning everything," he confessed during one of our regular lunch meetings. "If I was so wrong about Karen, what else am I wrong about? My research hypotheses, my entire approach to science." The situation worsened when Karen made a lengthy post on a scientific community forum announcing her new chapter with a thinly veiled account of leaving her marriage. Without naming Prince directly, she described liberating herself from a restrictive relationship that limited her scientific growth. She portrayed herself as a woman breaking free from traditional expectations, following her intellectual and emotional needs without apology. The post concluded with the statement that she had no regrets about any decisions made along this path to self-actualization. The scientific community's response was mixed. Some applauded her bravery in prioritizing her career and happiness. Others recognized the post for what it was, a cruel public humiliation of Prince, and distanced themselves from such unprofessional behavior. A few senior researchers privately reached out to Prince to express their support, but these gestures did little to mitigate the public embarrassment. Prince's professional performance suffered as he struggled to focus amid the personal chaos. Lab meetings he once led with confidence became disjointed. Grant applications went unfinished. A promising research direction was abandoned mid-protocol because he could not summon the mental energy to solve unexpected complications. The awkwardness of continuing to work at the same institute as Karen and James, now openly together, compounded his difficulties. After a particularly difficult encounter where he found himself sharing an elevator with the couple, Prince decided he needed distance. He applied for a temporary sabbatical planning to spend 6 months at a collaborating institution across the country. I helped him file the divorce papers before his departure and assisted him in moving his essential belongings to a sparsely furnished apartment near his temporary placement. While Prince sought refuge in physical distance, Karen and James flaunted their relationship with increasing boldness. They arrived together at department functions, presented jointly at major conferences, and made little effort to conceal their satisfaction at the new power dynamic. Their combined research team quickly gained prominence, absorbing funding and talented graduate students. They seemed to take particular pleasure in situations that highlighted Prince's diminished standing, such as when James was asked to give the keynote at a symposium where Prince had originally been scheduled to speak. "I heard they are already talking about marriage," a colleague whispered to me during a department meeting. Apparently, James is pushing for it, wants to lock things down now that his divorce is finalized. Prince's sabbatical did little to heal his wounds. Our video calls revealed a man struggling to find his footing. His temporary colleagues were welcoming, but he found it difficult to integrate into their established research groups. His confidence in his scientific abilities continued to erode, and he began questioning whether to return to Meridian at all. The lowest point came about 4 months after his departure. Unable to reach him for our scheduled call, I grew concerned and contacted his temporary housing manager. Finding him unresponsive to knocks on his door, they performed a welfare check. Prince was found intoxicated in his apartment, surrounded by research papers covered in frustrated scribbles and crossed-out hypotheses. The manager called me, and I immediately arranged to fly out to see him. I arrived to find my brilliant friend at his absolute lowest. After helping him recover from the alcohol, we spent a long night talking about everything from his failed marriage to his scientific doubts. In the early hours of the morning, as sunrise began to lighten his sparse apartment, we made a pact. He would not let Karen's betrayal define his future personally or professionally. He would rebuild, finding new research directions and reclaiming his passion for science. I promised to support him however necessary, including helping him transition to a new institution if returning to Meridian proved too difficult. "I am not giving up," Prince said with the first real determination I had heard in months, neither on science nor on the possibility of happiness. As I flew home the next day, I was cautiously optimistic. Prince had hit bottom, but sometimes that is where you find the solid ground needed to rebuild. Prince's recovery began with small steps. Following our pact, he established a strict routine: early mornings in the temporary lab, regular exercise, and deliberate social interactions with colleagues, despite his inclination toward isolation. Our daily check-ins became a ritual, a moment of accountability and encouragement. Initially, these calls focused simply on whether he had maintained his basic routine. Gradually, they evolved into excited discussions about research ideas and potential new directions. The turning point in Prince's professional recovery came when he revisited a research question others had abandoned years earlier. During his doctoral work, he had briefly explored an enzyme mechanism that defied conventional modeling. Most researchers, including Prince himself, had moved on to more promising areas. Now, with fresh perspective born partly from his personal upheaval, he recognized potential in this neglected pathway. Sometimes being knocked completely off your established path forces you to see possibilities you would otherwise miss, he explained during one of our calls' animation, returning to his voice for the first time in months. Prince began dedicating his evenings to this side project, careful not to neglect his commitments to his host laboratory. Working with limited resources and without a team, he meticulously built a case for his new hypothesis. The work became therapeutic, providing focus beyond his personal troubles and rebuilding his scientific confidence with each successful experiment. Parallel to his professional renewal, Prince began cautiously opening himself to new personal connections. During a collaborative meeting with another department, he met Laura, a plant biochemist whose quiet intelligence and ethical approach to science resonated with him. Their initial coffee meetings to discuss potential research overlap evolved into conversations about literature, hiking, and eventually their personal lives. Unlike his whirlwind romance with Karen, this connection developed slowly, built on mutual respect and careful boundaries. Prince was transparent about his recent divorce, and Laura proved to be an understanding but not pitying friend. While Prince was rebuilding, Karen and James's seemingly unstoppable ascent began showing cracks. Their initial research collaboration had produced impressive preliminary results, leading to substantial grant funding and institutional support. However, follow-up studies failed to replicate their original findings. Rather than acknowledge these inconsistencies, they pushed forward with publications that emphasized positive results while downplaying contradictory data. The scientific community began noticing discrepancies. Questions arose at conferences. Peer reviewers requested additional controls and validations. When a graduate student in their lab raised concerns about statistical methods, they reassigned the student to a different project and limited their access to the original data. Rumors of data manipulation began circulating among specialists in their field. 6 months into his sabbatical, Prince made his breakthrough. His persistent investigation of the overlooked enzyme mechanism revealed a novel interaction that explained previously contradictory results. With characteristic thoroughness, he verified his findings through multiple experimental approaches before writing up his results. The paper he submitted to Nature was accepted with minimal revisions, a rare achievement that signaled the importance of his discovery. The publication generated immediate interest. Emails from researchers worldwide filled Prince's inbox, requesting further information and proposing collaborations. Among these communications came an offer from the prestigious Westlake Institute inviting him to establish and lead a new research division focused on his enzyme work. The position included guaranteed funding, a state-of-the-art laboratory, and the freedom to build his own research team. As Prince's star rose again, Karen and James faced increasing scrutiny. A collaboration with an external laboratory attempted to build upon their published work but could not reproduce key findings. The collaborators requested original data and detailed protocols, which Karen and James delayed providing through various excuses. When partial records were eventually shared, statistical inconsistencies became apparent. The Institute initiated a preliminary review of their research. During this process, the formerly united front between Karen and James began to fracture. Colleagues noticed tense exchanges during meetings. Their joint appearances at departmental functions became rare. The rumor mill, once filled with their romantic exploits, now buzzed with accounts of blame shifting and accusations. When the review committee identified serious concerns and recommended a formal investigation, James made a strategic retreat. He accepted a sudden offer from a pharmaceutical company, leaving academia entirely. The timing, just days before the investigation was to begin, left little doubt that he was abandoning the sinking ship and leaving Karen to face the consequences alone. Karen now, without her powerful ally, watched as their joint research empire crumbled. Funding was suspended pending the investigation's outcome. Graduate students requested transfers to other laboratories. Invitations to speak at conferences were rescinded. The professional ascent that had seemed worth sacrificing her marriage for reversed dramatically. 9 months after her triumphant forum post about having no regrets, Karen made a second, very different public statement. In a post that spread quickly through the scientific community, she expressed profound regret for her personal and professional choices. She acknowledged the damage caused by prioritizing ambition and status over integrity and genuine relationships. Without explicitly admitting to data manipulation, she referred to compromises made under pressure that contradicted the scientific principles I once valued above all else. Most significantly for Prince, she included a public apology for her treatment of him, writing, "I destroyed something precious and irreplaceable convincing myself it was a necessary sacrifice for my advancement. I now understand that true advancement never requires the destruction of your integrity or the pain of those who supported you faithfully. The post reached Prince as he was preparing for his transition to Westlake Institute. Laura, now officially his girlfriend, after months of thoughtful dating, was helping him pack his apartment when he received multiple messages about Karen's statement. They read it together in silence. "Are you okay?" Laura asked when they finished reading. Prince considered the question carefully. "Yes," he finally answered. "I think I actually am." That evening, Prince received an email from Karen requesting to meet before his departure. After discussing it with Laura, who supported whatever decision he felt was right, Prince agreed to a brief meeting in a public cafe. Karen arrived looking nothing like the polished, confident researcher who had left him. Her designer clothes had been replaced by simple attire, reminiscent of their early years together. The conversation was initially awkward, with Karen struggling to maintain eye contact. "I have lost everything that matters," she eventually said. "My reputation, my research credibility, and most importantly, you. I know it is far too late, but I needed to tell you in person how deeply I regret what I did." She then asked if there was any possibility of reconciliation, suggesting they could start fresh somewhere away from the scandal and memories. Prince listened respectfully but remained firm in his response. "I forgive you, Karen, because holding on to anger would only limit my own future. But forgiveness does not mean reverting to the past. We have both been changed by these experiences, and my path forward lies elsewhere." They parted with a formal handshake, the finality of their separation now mutually acknowledged. Walking away, Prince felt the last weight of bitterness leaving him. He had neither gloated over Karen's downfall nor allowed misplaced loyalty to draw him back into a relationship that had caused him such pain. Prince's transition to Westlake proceeded smoothly. His new laboratory quickly attracted talented researchers drawn by both his scientific breakthrough and his reputation for ethical leadership. His relationship with Laura continued to develop on its solid foundation of mutual respect and shared values. When she was offered a position at a university near Westlake, they viewed it as an opportunity to continue their relationship while maintaining their professional independence. 1 year after leaving Meridian, Prince led a team that expanded on his enzyme discovery, developing applications with implications for both medical treatments and industrial processes. At the celebration following their successful patent application, Laura raised a toast not just to their scientific achievement, but to Prince's personal journey. "To resilience," she said, "and to measuring success not by accolades or position, but by integrity maintained through both triumph and adversity." Looking around at his new team and the woman who had helped him rediscover joy, Prince realized he had gained something precious from his painful experience, the unshakable knowledge of his own worth independent of others' validation or betrayal. True success, he had learned, is not measured by grants won or positions secured. It is built on character that remains intact when everything else is stripped away, and on the capacity to begin again without being defined by past wounds. Most importantly, he had learned that genuine relationships thrive through both achievements and failures, never conditional on status or advantage. What do you think about the choices Karen made? Have you ever witnessed someone change completely when success came their way? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more real-life experiences that remind us what truly matters. Thank you for listening, and remember that how we handle both success and failure reveals far more about our character than either the triumph or the loss itself.